The stars were endless above the great spaceport. Ships came and went. Lights flashed across the sky. Voices from 100 alien languages filled the air. But among all this noise there stood a single mother, her hand tightly holding her small child, her eyes tired, her face showing both courage and despair. She had been traveling from planet to planet, from station to station, looking for work, looking for a chance to survive, but no one wanted her. No alien trusted her. No alien cared. Every door she knocked on had been closed. Every chance had turned into laughter or insult. The mother was human, and in this galaxy, humans were not respected. Humans were often seen as weak, as dangerous, or as useless after the wars on Earth. After the fall of her people, many alien races had made up their minds that humans had no place among the stars. And so when she asked for work, when she begged for a chance, the aliens turned her away. She remembered the first rejection on the trade planet. She had walked into a tall alien shop, asking if she could clean floors or carry goods. The alien, tall and scaled, looked at her and laughed. A human mother? What can you do? You are slow. You are weak. No one here will hire you. The laughter of others echoed in the shop. Her child hid behind her legs. Frightened on another world, she tried again, this time with a group of insect-like aliens who ran a market. She spoke softly, asking if they needed help, but the leader raised his wings and hissed, "We do not trust humans. Leave now before you bring trouble." She left with tears in her eyes, but her child never saw them. She wiped them away quickly. She wanted to stay strong for him. Every planet brought the same answer: rejection, insult, or silence. Some aliens laughed at her struggle. Some mocked her child. Others ignored her as if she did not even exist. She carried her child in her arms, walked the long roads, slept in corners of stations, and yet every day she stood up again, telling herself that tomorrow might be different. But today, standing in the great spaceport, she was losing hope. Her bag was almost empty, her food almost gone. Her child looked up at her with wide eyes, asking quietly, "Mama, will we eat tonight?" She forced a smile, nodding, but inside she was breaking. The noise of the port surrounded her. Alien ships arriving, crews shouting, merchants bargaining, but she felt invisible. No one cared for a human mother with nothing to offer. She looked at her child and thought of Earth. Their old home, the green fields, the oceans. But Earth was gone now, ruined by war, abandoned by the galaxy. And so she had no home, no people, only her child and her will to survive. She walked to another shop. Her last try for the day, a group of tall, thin aliens were working there. She bowed her head and asked, "Please, I can help. I can clean, I can lift things, I will work for food." The aliens looked at each other. One sneered and said, "You humans never learn. You are not wanted here. Leave before you make us angry." The others laughed. Her child squeezed her hand tightly. She turned away, her face calm but her heart heavy. She whispered, "It is all right, we will keep trying." Yet even she was not sure if she believed her own words. She found a quiet corner in the port, sitting with her child. She gave him the last piece of bread she had, watching him eat slowly, saving some for her. But she shook her head. "No, my love, you eat." "I'm not hungry," but her stomach ached. Her body weak. Still she smiled, because that was what mothers did, as the lights of alien ships lit the night. As voices rose and fell, she sat there with her child, wondering if anyone in the galaxy would ever see her not as a burden, not as a joke, but as a person worthy of a chance. She whispered to the stars, "Just one chance. That is all I need." Her child fell asleep in her lap, his small hand still clutching hers, and she looked at the stars above, her eyes filled with both sadness and fire. She had been rejected again and again, but tomorrow she would rise and try once more for her child, for their survival, for hope, and yet deep inside a question burned. How long could she keep fighting when every alien laughed, when every door was closed, and when no one wanted to hire a human mother? The answer was not here tonight, but somewhere out there. In the vast galaxy, her fate was waiting. Her story had only just begun. The next morning came with the cold light of the spaceport. Ships left one after another, and the voices of traders filled the air. But for the single mother and her child, nothing had changed. They were still outsiders, still unwanted, still without a home. She woke her child gently, whispering, "Come, my love. We must move." She carried her small bag, light with nothing but a few clothes, and took his hand. Together they walked through the crowded halls of the station, searching, hoping, but deep inside she felt the same heavy weight. Rejection was waiting for her again. She tried to stay strong, but the signs were everywhere. Alien mothers looked at her with cold eyes. Alien workers laughed when they saw her human face. Some whispered behind her back, "That one is a human, stay away. Humans bring trouble." Her child heard some of the words and asked softly, "Why do they hate us, Mama?" She squeezed his hand and said, "Because they do not know us. Because they do not see what I see in you." Her voice was steady, but her heart ached. She walked into a food stall. The alien owner was large and had 4 arms. She asked in a calm voice, "Please, I can wash dishes, I can clean tables. I only ask for food for my child." The alien did not even answer. He pointed to the door and turned his back. Her son tugged her hand. "Mama, let's go." And so they went. Hours passed, and every place was the same. No one wanted a human. No one wanted her. As the day ended, she found herself sitting on the edge of the docking bay, her child sitting beside her. Watching the stars, she whispered to herself. Alone, always alone against the stars, but in her heart, she still carried small sparks of hope because a mother could not stop, no matter how much the galaxy pushed her down. As she sat in silence, she overheard voices nearby. A group of merchants speaking. "Have you heard of that colony? The one where humans sometimes find work?" Another voice laughed. "That is just a rumor. No one trusts humans, they are desperate. They will believe anything," but the first voice insisted. "No, I heard a human runs a workshop there. Some say he even helps his own kind." The mother's eyes lit up for the first time in many days. She leaned closer, trying to catch every word, but the merchants moved away, their laughter fading into the noise of the port. She turned to her child, whispering, "Did you hear that? A place where humans might be welcome." The boy's eyes shone with a small spark of hope. "Really, Mama? Can we go there?" She nodded, though she had no idea if it was true. That night, they found a quiet corner in the maintenance tunnels of the port. A cold place with metal floors, but at least hidden from the crowds. She wrapped her child in her worn shawl and sat awake, thinking, planning. Should she risk what little she had left on a rumor, or stay here and keep facing closed doors? She remembered the faces of all those who had rejected her, the cruel laughter, the insults, the fear in their eyes when they saw a human, and she thought of her child's future. She whispered, "We cannot stay, we must go. Even if it is a lie, even if it is only hope." The next morning, she asked around quietly, trading the last of her credits for directions. Some aliens laughed at her again. "You are chasing fairy tales," one said. "No such place exists." But another gave her a map, whispering, "Be careful. The way is not safe." She knew then that the journey would be dangerous. The path long, but she had no choice. Hope was all she had. As they walked through the corridors of the port, preparing to leave, more aliens whispered behind her back, some mocking, some pitying. Look at her, still chasing dreams, still believing she matters, but she kept her head high, her child walking proudly at her side. They reached the shuttle docks. The cheapest transport was old and crowded, filled with rough travelers and traders. When she stepped inside, voices rose immediately. "A human? Here?" One alien sneered. "Do not sit near me." Another laughed. "Humans bring only trouble." She ignored them, holding her child close. Sitting in the farthest corner, as the shuttle took off, leaving the spaceport behind, she felt a mix of fear and determination. Fear of what waited ahead, but determination that this might be the last chance left. Her child leaned against her, whispering, "Mama, will it be different there?" She kissed his forehead and said, "Yes, my love, it must be." But her heart trembled, because she did not know outside the window. Stars stretched across the black sky, endless and cold, but among them burned a single thought. Somewhere out there was a place where humanity was not mocked, where perhaps one person would see her not as a joke, not as a burden, but as someone worthy of mercy. She closed her eyes and whispered, "We are alone against the stars, but we will keep moving, until we find the one door that opens." And so the journey began, dangerous, uncertain, but filled with the faint light of hope. The shuttle shook as it moved through the void, its engines old, its walls full of scratches. The single mother sat in silence, holding her child close. The other passengers gave her unfriendly looks. Some muttered insults under their breath. "Human." One spat. "Bad luck to travel with them." She ignored the words. She had heard them too many times. Her child leaned against her shoulder, whispering, "Mama, how far is it?" She brushed his hair back gently. "Not far, my love. Just a little longer." But inside she was unsure. She did not even know if the colony truly existed. It was a rumor, a fragile dream, but dreams were all she had left. Hours turned to days. The shuttle stopped at lonely stations, dark outposts at the edge of space. The mother tried again and again to offer her work, cleaning, carrying, anything. But the answer was always the same. No humans, no humans, no humans. The words followed her everywhere like shadows. At one stop, she overheard a cruel joke. A tall alien merchant laughing with his friends. Did you see her? A human mother still begging, still thinking she has value. The others laughed loudly. Her son lowered his head, ashamed. But she lifted his chin and said softly, "Do not listen. You are worth more than they can ever see." Her eyes burned with quiet fire. The journey grew harder. Food was scarce. She ate little so her child could eat. Her body grew weaker, yet she never stopped moving, never stopped whispering hope. Soon we will find it. Soon we will have a home. But not all dangers came from insults. One night, as the shuttle rested on a barren outpost, a group of rough aliens surrounded her, their voices low and threatening. "Human, give us what you have, or we take it by force." She shielded her child with her arms, her eyes cold and steady. "I have nothing but him, and you will not touch him." The aliens laughed, moving closer, but before they could act, the station guards appeared, shouting. The group scattered into the shadows. Her heart pounded, but she held her son tightly, whispering, "It is all right, I will never let them hurt you." Yet she knew this galaxy was cruel, and if she failed to find that colony, one day there would be no guards to save them. Days passed, the stars outside endless, her hope thin but unbroken. Then at last, the shuttle pilot announced, "Final stop. Border colony ahead." Her heart leapt. Could this be the place? Could the rumor be true? When the shuttle landed, the air smelled of iron and smoke. The colony was small, built from old metal and stone, rough but alive. Traders moved in the streets. Machines hummed in the distance. It was not beautiful, but to her eyes it looked like hope. She stepped onto the dusty ground, holding her child's hand tightly, asking quietly, "Where do we go, Mama?" She smiled faintly. "We search one more time, perhaps the last time." She walked through the streets, asking softly, "Do you know of a workshop, run by a human?" Some laughed at her, some shook their heads, but one old trader pointed down a narrow path. "There is such a place, but do not waste your time. No one hires beggars." Still, her heart quickened. She followed the path, her child's small steps echoing beside hers, until she reached a small building at the edge of the colony. Smoke rose from its chimney. The sound of tools striking metal rang inside. Her hands trembled as she knocked on the heavy door. For a moment there was silence, then footsteps. The door opened slowly, and there stood a man, his face worn, his hands strong, his eyes tired but not cruel. For the first time in many years, she saw another human, not in memory, not in dream, but real, alive, standing before her. Her voice shook as she whispered, "Please, I'm looking for work. No one will hire me. I can clean, I can carry, I will do anything. Only give my child a chance to live." The man looked at her for a long moment, his eyes moving from her face to the small boy clinging to her hand, then back again. In that silence, her heart pounded. Would he laugh? Would he close the door like all the others? Or would he be different? The sound of tools and machines faded around her. The entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath, as she waited for the answer that could change her life. The door stood open and the woman froze, her heart racing, her child clinging tightly to her hand. For the first time since Earth's fall, she was looking at another human. Not in memory, not in dream, but in flesh and blood. His hair was dark and streaked with gray. His hands were rough from years of work. His eyes sharp but not cruel. For a long moment he said nothing, only studied her. Her torn clothes, her tired face, her hungry child. The silence stretched like an endless road. Her breath caught in her throat. She had been rejected so many times she almost expected the door to slam in her face. Finally his voice came, deep and calm. "You are human." It was not a question. It was a fact, a recognition. She nodded quickly. "Yes, I am human. I have been searching, begging, working for scraps. No alien will give me a chance. Please, I can do anything. I only need food for my child, a roof over our heads. I will not fail you." Her words came in a rush, desperate but steady. The man looked at the boy, who hid half behind his mother's skirt, then back at her. "Why did you come here?" he asked slowly. She swallowed hard. "Because I heard a rumor that a human lived here, that maybe you would not laugh at me. Maybe you would not send me away." Her voice broke at the edges, but her eyes stayed firm. He stepped aside and opened the door wider. "Come in," he said simply. The mother blinked, surprised. then quickly bowed her head, leading her child inside. The workshop smelled of smoke and iron. Tools lay scattered on benches. Half-built machines stood in the corners. Sparks glowed from a small forge. It was not a rich place, not a grand shop, but it was alive, it was work, it was hope. She sat her child on a wooden stool, watching him stare at the strange tools with wide eyes. The man poured a cup of water and handed it to her. She took it with trembling hands, whispering, "Thank you." He studied her again, leaning against his workbench. "Do you have skills?" he asked. She shook her head. "No, but I learn fast. I will clean, I will carry. I will work until my body cannot stand. Just give me a chance." He rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "Aliens hate us, you know this, if they see you working here. They will mock, they will threaten, they will make trouble." She nodded firmly. "They already mock me, they already laugh. I have nothing left to lose, only my child to protect. And I will face anything for him." The man was silent again, the sound of the forge filling the air. Then at last he said, "I cannot pay you much. This workshop barely keeps itself alive, but if you are willing, you can clean the tools, sweep the floor, keep the place in order. In return, I will give you food and shelter. You and your boy." Tears filled her eyes, but she held them back, bowing deeply. "I accept. I accept with all my heart." Her child looked up at the man with shy eyes, whispering, "Thank you, sir." The man gave a small nod, his face stern but not unkind that night. For the first time in many weeks, the mother and her child slept under a roof, not in cold tunnels, not on hard station floors, but in a small corner of the workshop where a thin mattress had been laid. It was not soft, but it was warm, and she held her boy close, whispering, "And we are safe tonight. We are safe because someone finally saw us." In the days that followed, she worked tirelessly from dawn to dusk, sweeping floors, cleaning tools, fetching supplies. No job was too small, no task too dirty. She worked with quiet determination. Her hands blistered, her back ached, but she never slowed. And every night her son ate a full meal, smiling in his sleep. The aliens of the colony noticed quickly. They saw her moving through the workshop, carrying buckets, scrubbing floors. And their laughter began. A human mother working? How pathetic, they sneered. Some jeered openly. That human will drag him down, watch and see. But the man ignored them. He worked beside her, teaching her little things each day. How to handle tools, how to sort parts, how to fix simple machines, and though her hands shook at first, she learned slowly, carefully, always trying to do better. For the first time in years, she felt something new, not just survival, not just struggle, but purpose. She whispered to herself one night as her son slept, "This is our chance. This is where we begin again." Yet deep inside, fear still lingered. She knew the aliens would not stop with laughter. Sooner or later, they would act. They would try to destroy this fragile hope. And when that moment came, she would have to decide whether she was strong enough to fight not only for herself, but for the one human who had offered her mercy. The days in the workshop turned into weeks, and the single mother worked with a strength no one had expected. From the moment the forge fire lit in the morning until it dimmed at night, she was there cleaning tools, sweeping the floors, carrying heavy scrap, fetching supplies from the markets. Every small task was done with care, with focus. Because she knew this was her one chance, her son stayed close. Sometimes sitting quietly in the corner with a small book the man had given him. Sometimes helping in little ways, passing a wrench, carrying a cloth. The boy laughed more now. He ate full meals, his cheeks slowly filling out again after weeks of hunger. When she saw his smile, her heart felt stronger. The human employer, whose name was Joran, rarely spoke much, but he noticed everything. He saw how she worked without complaint, how she never asked for more than she was given, how she tried to learn each task he showed her. One evening, he handed her a simple tool and said, "Try this." Her hands trembled, but she followed his instructions. Tightening a loose bolt on a small machine, it took her 3 tries, but she did it. Joran only gave a small nod, but to her it felt like a great victory. Outside the workshop, however, the aliens of the colony did not stay silent. They gathered often near the doors, watching, mocking. "Look at her. A human cleaning floors like a servant," one sneered. Another laughed. "The fool human man keeps company with his own kind. He will regret it." Their voices carried through the streets. At first she lowered her head and ignored them. She told her son, "Do not listen, their words are only air." But inside, the sting of every laugh cut deep. Still, she kept working, because work meant survival. One day, as she carried a bucket of water, A group of alien youths blocked her path. One kicked over the bucket, spilling water across the dirt. Oops. The human dropped it, he said with a sneer. The others laughed. Her child clung to her skirt. Frightened, she did not shout, did not cry. She only picked up the bucket, filled it again, and walked back into the workshop. Her silence louder than any reply, but Joran had seen. He stepped outside, his voice cold. You mock her again, and you answer to me. The aliens laughed nervously, but they did not step closer. His presence was enough to hold them back. For now inside, the mother whispered to him, You should not defend me, it will bring trouble. But he shook his head. You work hard, you earn your place, let them talk. Their words mean nothing, she bowed her head, grateful, though her heart told her that words could turn into worse things soon. As the weeks passed, she grew stronger, her arms less weak, her steps more steady. She began to handle tools with confidence, repairing small parts, polishing metal until it shone. She was no longer just cleaning, she was learning, Joran noticed, handing her more work, teaching her quietly. Here, hold it like this, tighten here, not there. She listened to every word. Eager to prove herself, her son too began to change. Once quiet and fearful, he now played in the yard outside the workshop, laughing, running, even daring to smile at the stars at night. He would tell his mother, Mama, maybe we can stay here forever. And though she wished it were true, she only kissed his forehead and whispered, Perhaps, my love, perhaps. Still, she could not ignore the stares. Every trip to the market was the same. Alien merchants watching her with narrowed eyes, whispering, Humans should not be here, others mocking. She works like a beast, but she will fail soon. Their voices grew louder, their eyes colder. One evening, after a long day of work, Joran placed a hand on the table, his voice calm but heavy. They will not stop, you know this. The more you prove yourself, the more they will hate you. She met his eyes and answered firmly, I know, but I cannot stop. I cannot run again. Not when my child finally sleeps without fear. He studied her for a long moment, then gave a single nod, as if her words had told him everything he needed to know. The next morning, she walked out into the street carrying supplies, her child at her side, and the mocking voices began again. Look, the human thinks she belongs here, one alien sneered. How long before she drags him down? Another said, pointing at Joran's workshop. But this time, instead of lowering her head, she stopped, her son hiding behind her, her eyes steady. I do not need your approval, she said in a clear voice. I will work, I will live, and I will not give up. Laugh if you wish. But I am still here. The aliens blinked, surprised, unused to a human speaking with such strength. She walked past them, her heart pounding, her child's hand tight in hers. But her step steady for the first time, she felt she had not only been given mercy, but had begun to claim her own place in this corner of the galaxy. Yet deep inside she knew, the laughter of aliens was only the beginning. Darker trials were coming, and when they arrived, she would have to fight not just for survival, but for the fragile hope she had found. The colony streets grew colder toward her, not in weather but in feeling. Each day the whispers sharpened, the laughter grew louder, and the stares turned into threats. At first it had only been words, but now it was more. Tools missing from the workshop, bolts loosened on machines, buckets of water spilled across the floor in the night. Joran's face grew tight with anger. They want to break us, he muttered, and the mother felt the weight of danger pressing closer. One morning she entered the workshop early, her child still sleeping, and found the forge fire dead, its coals soaked with water. She dropped to her knees, scooping ashes with her hands, her heart pounding. Who had done this? Her answer came when she heard snickering outside. A group of aliens passing by whispering, The humans cannot even keep a fire lit. Joran arrived soon after, his eyes narrowing as he saw the mess. Sabotage, he said simply, then bent to rebuild the fire. She helped without a word, her hands blackened with soot, her determination burning brighter than the flames they relit. The sabotage grew worse one evening. As she carried supplies back from the market, an alien shoved her hard, the basket spilled, food rolling across the dirt. Laughter echoed around her. Clean it up, human. Maybe next time you'll learn. She gathered everything silently, her son helping with small hands, his face red with shame, but she did not cry. She whispered to him, Stand tall, my love, we will not bow to them. But the worst came 3 nights later, when heavy stones were thrown through the workshop windows, shattering glass across the floor. Her son screamed in fear. Joran stormed out into the street, his voice thundering, Enough! If you want to fight, come face me. But the shadows swallowed the cowards, leaving only their laughter behind. The mother held her child close, his small body trembling, and in that moment something inside her hardened. She would not allow fear to rule their lives. She would not allow these aliens to take away the fragile home they had found. The next day she walked into the workshop with steady eyes, and when Joran looked at her, she said firmly, "Teach me more. Not only cleaning, not only simple work. Teach me to repair, to build, to defend this place." He studied her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "If you are willing to learn, I will teach," and so the lessons began. Her hands clumsy at first, her arms weak, but her heart strong. She learned to hammer nails, to weld pieces of metal, to fit gears into machines. Sparks burned her skin. Heavy tools strained her arms, but she did not stop. Her son watched with wide eyes, cheering softly. "You can do it, Mama. You are strong." Word spread quickly through the colony. The human mother was not just cleaning floors. She was working the forge. She was standing beside Joran, learning his craft. The laughter turned sharper, the threats louder, but she ignored them, her focus fixed only on the work before her. One afternoon, as she carried a crate of parts into the yard, 3 aliens approached, their faces hard, their voices cold. "Leave this place, human. This workshop is not for your kind." She stood firm, her child clutching her skirt, her voice calm but strong. "I will not leave. I work here, I earn my place. This is my home," they sneered, one stepping closer. "Then we will make you leave." Before they could act, she lifted the crate high and slammed it down onto the ground, the crash echoing through the yard, startling them. Her eyes blazed as she stepped forward. "I am a mother. I will fight with everything I have. Do not test me." Her voice shook the air, her child's eyes wide with awe. The aliens stepped back, muttering curses, but they did not touch her. From the doorway, Joran watched silently, his face unreadable, but later that night he said softly, "You are stronger than you know." She only shook her head, whispering, "I am only strong because I must be." For him, looking at her sleeping son. But the pressure did not stop. The sabotage continued. Whispers of a bigger plan spread through the colony. Some aliens wanted the humans gone for good, not just mocked, not just shamed, but destroyed. She heard the rumors and felt fear deep inside, but she did not run, she told herself. "If I leave now, I will run forever. I will never stop running." And so she stood taller each day, her hands blistered from work, her voice steady, her heart unbroken. The aliens could laugh, they could threaten, they could throw stones, but she would not surrender the one chance life had given her, because she was more than a rejected mother, more than a human hated by the galaxy. She was a fighter, and when the true storm came, she would face it, no matter the cost. The colony could no longer hide its hatred. Whispers had turned to threats, and threats now turned into action. One evening, as the forge burned bright inside the workshop, a crowd gathered outside, their alien voices sharp, their eyes glowing with anger. "Humans do not belong here," one shouted. "Throw them out before they poison our colony," another added. The crowd's voice grew louder, stones clattered against the walls. The boy clung to his mother, trembling, and she wrapped her arms around him, her face pale but steady. Joran stepped into the doorway, his broad frame blocking the entrance. His voice thundered, "Enough! You want to fight? Then face me, but leave them alone." The aliens hissed, some stepping forward. "You shame this colony by keeping them. They will ruin you, ruin us all." The mother stepped forward, her son behind her, her heart pounding, her voice strong. "I have done nothing but work, nothing but earn my place. You laugh at me. You break our windows. You sabotage our tools. But still I stand, still I work, still I fight for my child." Her words echoed across the yard. The crowd stirred, surprised at her boldness. One alien sneered, "You are weak, human. You have no power here." She lifted her chin, her eyes burning. "You are wrong. I have the greatest power of all. I am a mother, and there is nothing stronger than a mother protecting her child." The crowd wavered. Some laughed, but others fell silent, her courage cutting through their mockery like fire through smoke. Joran stepped beside her, his voice steady. "You mock her, but she has worked harder than any of you. She has done no harm. She has earned her place, and I will stand with her always." The tension thickened. The aliens shouted, some demanding they leave. Others unsure. The air was heavy with the promise of violence. Then one of the younger aliens threw a stone. It struck the ground near her feet. Her son cried out, but she did not move. She stood taller, her voice fierce. If you want me gone, you will have to carry me out with your own hands, but I will not walk away. Not now. Not ever. Her defiance shocked them. She was not shouting in fear. She was declaring war in her own quiet way. The crowd faltered, for they had expected weakness, tears, begging. But instead they found fire. The oldest alien among them, a traitor with silver scars across his face, stepped forward, his voice slow. She speaks truth. We have mocked, we have threatened. Yet she works, she learns, she fights. She is human, yes, but perhaps that is not weakness. Perhaps that is strength. His words silenced the crowd further. The mother's breath shook, but she held her ground, her son's hand tight in hers, Joran's presence strong at her side. Together they faced the colony not as beggars, not as broken exiles, but as people who refused to be crushed. Slowly the crowd began to break apart, some muttering, some angry, but others thoughtful. The laughter was gone, replaced by a heavy silence. And then as night fell, they were left standing in the quiet yard, alone but victorious. Inside, the boy hugged his mother tightly. "You were so brave, Mama," he whispered. She kissed his hair, whispering back, "I was brave because of you. Because I had to be." Joran looked at her, his voice quiet. "Tonight you proved something, not just to them, but to yourself." In the days that followed, the sabotage stopped. The whispers grew softer, and though not all aliens accepted her, many watched with new eyes, not mocking, not cruel, but cautious, curious, perhaps even respectful. The mother kept working, her hands stronger, her back straighter, her heart steadier. She was no longer just surviving. She was building a life, for herself, for her child, for the small piece of humanity that had been offered mercy. And though the galaxy was still vast, still filled with dangers, she no longer felt alone. She had her son, she had Joran, she had hope. At night, she sat outside the workshop, looking at the stars, her child asleep in her lap, her voice a whisper carried into the sky. "You tried to break me, but I am still here. You tried to silence me, but I am still speaking, and one day, humanity will rise again." Her eyes shone with quiet fire, for she knew now what she had always feared to believe. Humanity's strength was not in weapons, not in riches, not in power, but in the unbreakable will to keep going, to keep fighting, to keep loving, even when the whole galaxy turned its back. And in that small colony, in one small workshop, humanity's light burned bright once more,